How your lawn looks says a lot about you. So put your lawn care maintenance into the hands of someone who really cares. They're reasonable, experienced, reliable, licensed, and insured. They are Top-Notch Lawn Care of Toledo, Ohio. Commercial and residential services are available all year long. Call or text them today for a free estimate. Top-Notch Lawn Care of Toledo, Ohio. 419-708-0005. Top-Notch Lawn Care of Toledo, Ohio. Hey, it is Smooth Tim and Larry E, and thank you for joining us on another hump day on Tim's Tidbits. What's happening, Larry?
Not much, man. Chilling. You good?
Chilling? That's not what I hear about in Texas.
I'm so cool, I don't ever get hot.
Chilling is far from it. Aren't you still over like 100 degrees and shit down there?
It's hot outside, but I stay cool inside. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you're working on that. Working on the executive side of business now.
Only because I'm hurt.
Hey, we still got to make our money, right, man?
Right.
No, it ain't been too bad up here. Anyhow, hey, man, let's kick it off. And only in Texas. I should stop making fun of Texas. Eventually, they're going to kick us out. Just going to say, don't ever come back here. Just get out if you're that unhappy with how we are. But, hey, I mean, they just give you all kinds of excuses. It's sad, excuse me. Hey, man, why? You heard about what the Republicans, the GOP in Texas did, right? They passed a whole bunch of different stuff, and I don't know what they were thinking about. But anyhow, one of them is they decided that they weren't going to recognize the election from 2020, the results, and still think that, they're still perpetuating the big lie, which, I mean, we've heard about it, and we've heard it on TV. Well, let's get into what their spin on all this is.
Don't mess with Texas and don't mess with my vote.
At the Texas GOP convention in Houston this weekend, state Republican leaders put together a platform that pushes the party more conservative.
The positions taken at this party convention are far more conservative than Donald Trump would take on many of these issues.
Jim Riddlesberger is a political science professor at TCU and says the convention is always a reflection of the party's more activist wing.
Each candidate will take a look at this platform and see what parts of it they can use to their advantage.
Those values are 275 platform planks that include stating homosexuality is an abnormal lifestyle.
It sounds like the greatest hits of the 1980s, but there's no Michael Jackson or Rick Astley.
Raphael McDonald with LGBTQ Focused Resource Center in Dallas says the party should be spending time and energy on pressing state issues.
They are saying out loud what they were actually saying quietly back when we had the marriage rulings.
The party platform includes the disproven claim the 2020 election had substantial fraud and Joe Biden was not legitimately elected. In congressional hearings last week, former AG Bill Barr said the claims were detached from reality.
The claims of fraud were.
The platform also stated support for repealing both gun laws and the 1965 Voting Rights Act that outlaws discrimination in voting.
It's radical, but it's also a crystal clear expression of the Republican activist base's view of the world.
SMU political science professor Cal Jilson says the party continues to move to the right, trying to energize activists and hope independents have a short memory.
Until Democrats can defeat them, they're going to continue to feed their activist base.
In Dallas, I'm William Joy.
Good old Republican. So, homosexuality is a crime, and the election didn't count, and I don't get it.
And if you're not Republican, you suck. Pretty much that's what they're saying.
I don't. And if you're not a far right wing, you're a rhino Republican.
Right? They're just so pathetic. So losers, man. So losers. You lost the election. You don't have the people you want in office. You have a female federal Supreme judge that's black. So I'm like, they just lost.
Yeah, I don't understand. It gets to the point of why can't you just at least reach across the aisle? I guess that's the terminology you're supposed to use. Work together and actually get something done. I mean, I guess they're
trying to set it up for the next vote. You see that, don't you?
Oh yeah.
They're trying to say that homosexuality is not normal because they know homosexuals are going to vote. They're trying to eliminate the LGBTQ community because they know they'll hold a large, substantial voting a lot of group of people that's going to vote for them. So they're trying to get them out the way. Then they're trying to get the activists involved, saying the election was rigged. So they're trying to get them more involved. The people that were Republicans trying to get them riled up so they can vote more because they feel they lost votes. And then those people voted in. That's why they lost. So they're trying to get them out the way instead of for the next one. So it's a smart move.
So if I stifle the black vote, which they did good during their
yeah. They talking about I think they said that the Voting Act, they're trying to just go back on renege on that one also. So it's like they're trying to set it up. It's a scam.
Well, I'm sure that they'd like to abolish Juneteenth in Texas too and succeed from the entire union, but that ain't gonna happen. Come on, people.
Might as well just get rid of every immigrant, including themselves in America. Then nobody will be here.
And that's the funny part.
They're immigrants.
In what is Texas? I even believe Dallas itself is like 40% Latino. Yes.
Yep.
So I mean, I don't know why they're why you have such a bunch of racists in there, and especially like a Ted Cruz. I mean, you're of Latino descent, and you're not taking care of your people, and you're stifling black vote, Latino vote. You make it just so hard so that you can keep the rich white guy in power.
Yeah, but it's always sellouts in every race. That's how it goes. When it comes to like, even if it's a black thing that's popping off, you still have some white guys that are crossover like hip hop and stuff like that. It's always guys that are gonna sell out and cross over. So that's part of history. Black people have done it before too. They done sold out and crossed over.
Oh well, so, look at Herschel Walker.
What do he do?
He's running for what is it? He's running for something in Georgia, some type of Senate seat or something. And I mean, you're going to be, Senate, because that would be the law. And it's like, how are you going to go in there and debate somebody? And I'm not trying to demean the man, but what do you know about constitutional law?
I don't trust rich people. I guess because I'm not rich. Whether you black, whether you're white, whether you're Hispanic, whether you anything, I sure don't trust politicians. So if he makes it and he runs, he's gonna sell out too, like the rest of them did.
Well, you know what? It's not only politicians in Texas that can make it give it a bad name. It can even be some of the religious leaders. Let's take a listen to this.
Can't trust them either.
The pastors at Steadfast Baptist Church, now based in Watauga, have a history of anti-gay rhetoric, and that continued on Sunday when Pastor Dylan Oz gave a statement calling for the execution of gay people. This is audio from part of that sermon.
They should be convicted in a lawful trial. They should be sentenced with death. They should be lined up against the wall and shot in the back of the head. That's what God teaches.
Protesters showed up outside the church, including a mom who told our partners at the Fort Worth Star-Telegram that the message is dangerous.
I am a mom of a kid from the LGBTQ community, and I am not going to stand for you wishing death upon my kid just because of who he is.
Oz quoted scripture, but Pastor Rachel Bachman of Oaklawn United Methodist Church says his message contradicts the teachings of Christianity.
The gospel message is love and not hate. The real atrocity in what is happening in this pastor's sermon and what is being now, propagated to the rest of the community is that it's a message of hate. There is nothing that stands for hate in our Christian gospel.
Watauga police say they've received multiple complaints from citizens, but say they can't do much about it. They say the language used by the pastor of the church is likely to be offensive to many people. However, at this time, the reported language of the sermon appears to be constitutionally protected free speech. Attorney Eric Cedillo says while the pastor's words are disturbing, that type of speech is protected under the First Amendment because it's not an immediate specific threat.
It's not specific. It's not something that is immediate. So it's a situation where that may be protected. And I think their interpretation is a relatively reasonable one.
The church issued a statement saying they've been vandalized and received multiple death threats for their beliefs. The Southern Poverty Law Center that monitors extremist groups has labeled the church an anti-LGBTQ hate group and says their rhetoric could incite harm against the gay community. In Dallas, I'm Rebecca Lopez.
No kidding. I would be in awe if I heard a pastor up front at the pulpit spewing that type of hate speech against any human being, no matter what.
He ain't got shit on Dave Chappelle. I'm like, this guy's overboard. I'm like, all those other Republicans that we're talking about, they need to recruit this guy because he'll be a great leader.
Oh, he's a perfect fit.
Man, this guy just lost it. But you know what? And he talking about homosexuality. Not just the LGBTQ. He talking about just homosexuality and all together. That ain't going nowhere. Homosexuality has been here since the Romans and the Greeks and all that stuff, BC. And I'm like, you might as well, it ain't going nowhere.
No,
now, the Bible says that men, the Bible says it's not a Christian-like, but what other rules out there that are not Christian-like that people are breaking? If they're not harming anybody and they're doing it with each other, okay, then it is what it is. But
well, it says in the Bible too that you should not do anything in excess. And these people drink in excess. They smoke in excess. They eat in excess. They make
he's
money.
talking about hate. Exactly. I'm like,
so there's a lot of sin in this world, and to sit there and single out an individual because of their beliefs or their feelings, whatever it may be, is wrong.
Yeah, it's another Trump issue. Like he's exciting people to go ride and do what they did. Now this guy
doesn't that kind of lead into the story that you had stumbled across? Yes.
Yes.
And what was that? That was a gay pride parade that what was it? One of these groups tried to interrupt.
Well, which one? When I was working at a place?
No. When you get stumbled across that article about White Lives Matter group or something protesting the gay parade.
Yeah. It kills me how like it's okay to protest and believe in what you believe in, but everyone has to respect each other's protests to a certain point. You know what I'm saying? Even when the KKK when they march, which is totally wrong. But they still have the right to march and voice their opinions. Just like the black people with the guns last week. Even though they getting together and make another militia, that's wrong, but they have the right to do it because they're together. So you got to, this is America. They have to, you got to respect that protest. It is what it is. It's going to happen.
Unfortunately, they look at look at it from a law enforcement perspective who's sitting there trying to protect these people who are spewing hate. Right? Because they got a permit. Now there's going to be a crowd. So now you got to have law enforcement there to contain any type of violence because there will be because of the shit they're talking about. And I mean, think of there's probably 90% of those cops that don't even want to be there because they can hate the people too.
Yeah, it's like this world's crazy because it's like you can't be gay, can't be black, you can't be a cop, you can't like black people or white people, like white lives matter, black lives matter.
Yeah, what the hell?
You can't do everything is crazy. I'm like, what's going on?
Explain to me what the White Lives Matter group was doing at a gay parade.
What the hell are you doing there, man? Hey, you ain't up on your business.
I don't understand how the two correlate with one another unless
if it was a Black Lives Matter thing, okay, I can see the race. They doing the Black Lives, let's do the white lives.
Right.
They're doing the gay parade, so with the white lives, like, you know what? We need someone to Karens. What's going on this week?
We need somebody to hate.
Yeah, we
gotta hate today.
Let's go hate somebody. I'm like, come on, man. And it's like, you can't even do anything. And it's like I say, that's America. You got the right to protest, freedom of speech, yeah. But that pastor, he was totally wrong, because he is actually supposed to be the pillar of the community. He's supposed to be someone that when everything go wrong, who you go to?
You go to your
When everything
pastor.
goes, yeah, you go to your pastor to give you advice, sound, strong, positive advice. He talking about hate, putting against the wall, sound like Hitler.
And shoot him in the back of the head, right?
In the back, I'm like, you stoning him? I'm like,
That's like execution style. I mean, it's like, damn, you know?
you see how they did Jesus on the cross. Now you going and saying you should do gay people the same way they did Jesus on the cross, but you're a pastor, so you ain't nothing but a hypocrite. You contradicting everything that you learned and that you should be preaching about to bring.
It's almost like the hierarchy of the church. You're right. What was it, the Sanhedrin? Is that what they was called? The head of the church that decided to crucify Jesus? Or at least thought, yeah.
And you the pastor saying that? Now, like I say,
that's not the first time, though, Larry. You made a point. It's not the first time a pastor has,
I think men and women should be together to reproduce. You know, that's why we need kids to continue to move on. So I do believe in men and women together.
You know,
I don't believe in man and women and women, but that's what, if you want to do it, you want to do it. But I believe, but I'm not going to get up there and just say that you need to stone them to death, to put them on a cross and kill them. I'm like, they're people.
I believe a man should be with a woman and a woman should be with a man, and you should not have, inappropriate relationships with somebody of the same sex. That's just my beliefs.
Yeah.
But if you believe differently, well, that's whatever. That's on you.
It's not because I'm heterosexual. It's because that I believe that men and women were put here to reproduce other men and women and kids. That's why.
You're coming at it from, you learned that in church, though. That's what you
learned in the church.
And your morals and values are that. But that doesn't mean that everybody's morals and values have to be the same as yours.
It's not, no. So you just got to just work with it. It's America.
But you sure don't say that kind of shit.
No, that's ridiculous, man. That's one of the worst things I've seen on the show, for someone to say that. That's worse than like those idiotic Republicans. What he did was totally wrong, saying that he is the pastor. Now they crying. They broke our window. They death threats. What do you expect, idiot?
Yeah, when you threaten somebody, what do you believe is going to happen? I think, and you're causing an outrage in the community, or at least within your congregation, against gay people. The LGBT community. Yeah, what do you expect? But what do you expect when you go into your workplace and you see this kind of shit?
Camerzell was disciplined for 2 weeks back in 2020 after he placed a Nazi insignia on his door and made an anti-Semitic joke in the workplace. That punishment backfired and led to the mayor calling for his resignation. Yet the city says the termination process would be messy based on Camerzell's otherwise clean history in the department and union protections. The city settled the case for $1.5 million last week, about half of what Kent said Camerzell was asking for. Still, Rivi Kletenik, the principal of Seattle's Hebrew Academy, says Kent has sent the wrong message.
I'm just wondering how I'm going to explain to children as an educator that someone is being given this huge sum of money for doing something wrong.
The Pacific Northwest chapter of the Anti-Defamation League released a statement calling Kent's payout, quote, deplorable. Kent's police chief, Rafael Padilla, told me today he will make no further comment on this issue. That's the story for now. Live in Seattle, I'm Chris Daniels, King 5 News.
Gets worse, I guess. Okay, let me try that at work. Go to work and like, hey man, black power. I hate all white people. Give me 1.5 million. Like I'm gonna get that shit. I ain't up. Come on, bro.
Did it talk about that, or did I read on that where he tried to claim he had no idea what those insignias really meant?
I read into it, so he knew what it meant because he did other things too. He made the jokes, the comments.
Right.
He put stuff on his door. He had a Nazi sign somewhere. He had some stuff on the computer. He had a lot of stuff going on, so that guy knew what he was doing. But that's the first time. See, I guess that's where the union comes in, and that's where.
Well, he would be within the state and within the federal government. Once you get into, because I used to be in state government, okay, and what happens is to discipline somebody, even if he had previous complaints against him. Right. As long as he doesn't do like the same exact thing twice, it's hard for the people that are over him to release him without some type of repercussion, because he's going to come back at him for improper, termination.
Right.
Now, you decided it's going to go down to labor board. So you'd go down to the state labor board, federal labor board, no matter if you decide to try to can the guy and he takes it, and then it goes into, arbitration or fact finding. Those are the two different things that they can do. Mm-hmm. And if it goes into arbitration, then basically it's whatever the arbitrator decides. So you got like a 50-50 chance that I can get rid of this guy with no repercussions and he's gone, or I'm going to pay out a fucking fortune, right?
For $1 million plus just to fire somebody?
Well, I think they're just trying to save themselves the entire messy hassle, because they know that once they get down there, it's going to be drug out for 3-4 freaking years in labor relations, and it's going to cost them a damn fortune, and they're still going to have the guy on their payroll until they can actually properly terminate him. It's crazy.
You know what?
We talked about labor before, Larry. Unions. Yeah. I like unions, but there's a lot of they get in the way.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of an old saying when it comes to a married man: you pay the hoe to leave. That's why you pay him. So they paying that guy to get the hell out. He's a hoe for the company. He's terrible. He's satanic. He's anti-Jew. Whatever the hell he's doing, whether he did it on purpose, they just paying the guy to leave. That's it, because they probably thought about it, but really you can actually, on a typical job, regular people
can't get away with that
like
shit.
No, you can't get away with it. I said, I can't go to work and just throw my black power fist up and say I hate all whites, Mexicans, Asians, Jews, and I'm gonna stick around. You have to pay me to leave. That shit ain't gonna work in real life. You getting fired.
Yeah, I think the system is unfair in that regard. You're right.
That's because he's a cop.
Well, because he's protected by a strong union.
Yeah, in the union. Okay, you can't play with the union. But where did they come up with the number from, Tim? Why was it 1.8 million?
1.5.
1.5. Well, how you get that? What is that for? Defamation, lack of defamation, not having a job.
Probably because that's a city of, right? City of Kent, wherever I'm not sure what state that's in.
Yes, Kent. Yeah.
So the city of Kent, probably their attorneys, and the attorney for this racist.
Okay.
Just debating back and forth. You and I, listen, he wants $6 million, and there's like, and you tell me, stick that up your ass, right? Yeah. And then we finally,
the attorney's gonna get 30% of that.
Yeah.
So he ain't getting all that 1.5 million.
Right. Yeah, he's gonna get his scrape. He damn straight.
But all you gotta do is go back to another law enforcement agency, and he's still a cop. Just start over, go to another place.
You never know.
Let it blow over and continue to cop and do the same shit, but do it. It didn't change him. He's still the same guy, still the same asshole.
Now think about it too. Now some of the other things that they could get away with on, let's say, signing that off would be interesting to see. Is you can seal personnel records. So part of the deal is I'm going to leave, and it's going to be 1.5 million, and my personnel records are sealed.
That's true too.
Which means, so if you're a prospective employer and I call and, what do you got on Tim McGiffin? Well, he worked for us in 22. And what kind of employee was he? He was okay. And that's all they can freaking say.
Yeah, because if you don't, it's going to be more money because it's slander.
Yeah, yep.
Breach of contract, and not breach of contract, but basically be going against of our ruling, contempt.
Court ruling, yeah. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting, and it's not just on local government. I hope people seen this crap going on. Let me get over into the video. And this is a guy that's running too, but for a state seat. Check this clown out.
I'm Eric Greitens, Navy SEAL, and today we're going rhino hunting. The rhino feeds on corruption and is marked by the stripes of cowardice. Join the MAGA crew, get a rhino hunting permit. There's no bagging limit, no tagging limit, and it doesn't expire until we save our country.
Okay, and this idiot's running for U.S. Senate, and he wants you to get a rhino permit, Republican in name only, and go hunt these people down. That's his frickin' ad.
These people are fucked up, man.
and why and the whole house is frickin' empty. I'm like, what are you doing busting into an empty house?
Look like a damn trap house. They just ran some black dudes off the block. Get the fuck out. We're using your trap house to do a round. Tell black ass out of here.
We're using your crack house for an ad.
Yes, a crackhead ass house. The hell out of here. What's wrong with these people, man?
And you wonder what's wrong. We just seen a pastor talking about shooting gays in the back of the head, and now we see a guy that's running for Senate talking about going out and shooting rhinos. And you wonder why there's problems. You wonder why. I don't know if you've been watching some of the J6 stuff, but these people that have, either worked on election boards or there's now sitting in the Senate and or the House, getting these threats from people continuously, people protesting outside their house, this hate all over this big lie.
Man, you know what I see too, a theme with all these politicians and the people running that you had on the show, all of them have guns. Guns. Now, one of the biggest issues in America is mass shootings, but every time we see an ad, Rhino, the other crazy lady, the other guy, they all got guns, and they always want to promote the guns in their campaigns. And then they go back and say, well, we got to do something about gun control. Shut the fuck up.
We've talked about that before. It's not about taking people's guns away, and it shouldn't be about taking people's guns away. It's limiting access to immature people or mentally disturbed individuals.
And the ones I see that disturbed and immature, these idiots running these campaigns, utilizing guns, talking about rhino hunting permits. And
there you go. You talk about somebody that
permit.
Needs to have a gun taken away from them. You're a great candidate.
Gun smoke, they got military, they got the whole nine. So I'm like, get the hell out of here, bro. You need all that to run for Senate?
Yeah, I wonder sometimes. But it's all, and then they keep, I'm more Trump than this guy, more Trump than that guy. And it's like, and why do they want to align themselves? Is it that much of an epidemic? That people...
Trump did something to these Americans, these Republicans. He kickstarted something, because I don't think it's ever going to be the same since Trump was in office and everything happened with the Capitol. Whatever he did, it's our legacy now. And it's going to go on and on and on. Even if Biden gets a second term, it's still going to be something about Trump, the stuff he started. Trump started something. He kicked off all this extra racism here in America. And it's going to keep feeding and festering until it just have probably another civil war, a big racial explosion or something. He started it. He got it kicked on, and then all those activist assholes in the back that hate, they just utilizing it. They got the politicians utilizing it. They got guns everywhere. They got all this shit just to say I'm running for Senate with guns and smoke and military and all this. I'm like, what message are they trying to give to people?
And people are so. I've seen a couple of things on, been watching TV, and they said that a lot of these, that it's going to be hard to have any type of gun reform bill. And I know they came out with a bill in the House, but I mean, it's very limited. And I mean, it really doesn't do much. That bipartisan bill that they came through to the Senate, and it's going to, through the House, it'll go into the Senate. But I mean, it's this. And they're still talking about, they don't want any restrictions on buying guns. And you've already got, some states saying, we don't care. We'll do it the way we're going to do it anyhow. And I found it interesting that that you can go into a gun show and get a gun without a background check.
Yeah.
But if you go into a dealer, a gun shop, then you have to have the background check. So there's a loophole in it anyhow. So I guess let's say that they did red flag Larry because Larry's crazy. Larry beats his wife, whatever. He could still walk into a gun show with money in his pocket, buy the gun, and
That's how it is. I'm like, so it really doesn't matter.
Doesn't
You
restrict
can put
shit.
these gun. You need to shut that down first. These gun shows, and then if you're gonna, and that's not gonna happen. Tim, they give them too. They pushing in too much money to these politicians and to union. If it wasn't for the Rifle Association, I forgot the name of it. If it wasn't for their contributions, none of these presidents would not be presidents. All of them are feeding off of them.
They're all feeding off of them. But you know what's even more interesting, it doesn't matter what happens. And you can create all the violence in the world and Daddy T still got your back.
And if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly. This hasn't happened to all of the other atrocities that took place recently. Nothing like this has happened. What that unselect committee is doing and what the people are doing that are running those prisons, it's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. We will treat them fairly, and we will take care of the people of this country, all of the people of this country.
What's he talking about?
That some are getting jail time, is getting sentenced, and he'll throw a pardon down on him because nothing was wrong. I mean, his election was stolen, Larry. These people were rioting there, and they broke into the Capitol building and that was a calm, collective crowd. They just
you talking about those people?
Yeah, they just accidentally broke some windows and,
I thought he was talking about some real prisoners, and all of them need to go to jail. That's what I'm saying. Was he? I know he was talking about the real prison system.
What are you? They were exercising their constitutional right. Come on.
Man, I saw the black people sitting in the background. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I thought this was a free giveaway. What the hell's Trump doing up there? This ain't the soul food restaurant.
Yeah, he's talking about that.
Sellouts in every race.
He has aspirations of running in 2024.
And they're going to let him.
And who knows? But I mean, people should realize, and what's kind of bothersome is he was talking about that January 6th stuff that's on TV, and I don't watch it all the time, but I've watched some of it. They said only like 60% of the people in the nation have really tuned into it. And then you sit there and think, well, why is that? Because they don't want to hear it. But the other 40% don't want to hear it or are completely disinterested, or they just want to disassociate themselves from it completely.
I think it's pathetic. I'm like, if you lost, you lost. And what he did.
Yeah, but it's going to happen again. They learned their lesson now. And if you get the right people in the right place during these primaries, Secretary of States, and what do the Secretary of States do? They certify the election, right? So if you get enough of the people that you want in the right places by how he's out there supporting people, and you get them in the right place to do the right thing,
he's going to be president again. He's setting it up. He's setting it up.
People just don't see it. They got the blinders on and don't want to realize what's going down.
Yeah, he's setting it all up. You can see it every time he talks. You can see what's going on in politics. You can see these ministers. We don't like the LGBTQ because they have a vote. They trying to go against the voting laws, the voting act, because black people voting. They trying to say too many immigrants that come to the country voting, which they can't vote because half of them can't even speak English. I'm like, they setting it up. Setting it up.
That's what it's all about. Yeah, that's the way you suppress the vote that you don't want to vote. And you get the people in the right place and that's part of the big thing that was coming out too about having these fake electors coming in, or the Secretary of State just not certifying the election in their state. And as you said, what's it going to lead into? Probably a frickin' civil war, just like you said 5 minutes ago.
You already got the black militia. Then you got the guys in the U-Haul van from Texas trucks with no AC. I'm like, it's going to be crazy. But and then whose side of the military gonna be on? That's the key.
The president.
Yeah, so
he is the
he's the
chief of the military.
Hopefully it won't be him in office when it happens, if it happens. If he's in office, because you know whose side the military going to be on. His,
Well,
who he's going to.
That came out too in some of this too, is that, he was leaning on, could he actually, enforce martial law right?
He would, he could, and he probably would.
And the generals were kind of hedging, where are you going with all this?
And that's how the Civil War started. Started with martial law and curfews, and people like, no, I'm tired of this crap. And then you start getting the rebel, and they start joining up. Black people join with white people, Hispanics, all. It's gonna be the rebel against the whatever.
I say right up there, the divided states of America.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
It's gonna happen. Because it's not black and white, Tim. We gotta remember that.
No.
It's not black, white, Mexican, and Indian. It's all about right and wrong, and who is sending out the right message and the wrong message. Because people know what's right and wrong.
They really need to just look in their heart and stop listening to some of the rhetoric that's being spewed into them. Yeah, because you get these activists now. They got the crazy ass white activists. I know some crazy ass black activists, so I know them. But I ain't never seen I'm talking about crazy ass white activists. So I know some brothers and sisters that'll go fed, but when you in the back of a U-Haul truck in a hot ass summertime to go down there to mess with some people in the back of a hot U-Haul truck, we ain't doing that. If we ride in the AC to go to our shit. You're already angry as hell because you had to ride in the back of that hot ass U-Haul. I'm already pissed off. God damn it. There's some crazy shit in the back of a hot ass U-Haul truck. There's some activist type shit. Black folks ain't that active. They ain't gonna do that shit? No. What? No AC? We ain't going, man. There ain't no AC. No, we ain't going. That shit's gonna have to go on hold, man. We said we would do it later on tonight because the sun go down, then we go. They was in the middle of the evening, 3 o'clock in the back of a hot ass truck. I ain't messing with them, Tim. They could at least, well, they would have if they were black, they would have rolled up in a Hummer limo. They was back. I still can't believe they had all them guys. Man, I would not mess with them. I mess with some black activists, but I ain't messing with those guys. So that's the guys he got following them. Oh, those, like yeah. And I don't even want to get into conversation with people like that. I know people like that also that are just very far right, and I don't even want to get into the conversation with them because they immediately get angry. They're dangerous. And because they can't validate a lot of their beliefs. No, they just jump on the bandwagon. They just jump on the bandwagon. If you try to, alter their perspective, by, putting down a couple of facts here, and they don't want to hear it and they get pissed. Yep, you can't do it. Yeah, it's not going to happen. That's the way it is, man. Anyhow, Juneteenth, we just had let's move on to Juneteenth. Started getting sad talking about the divided states of America. Anyhow, Juneteenth, we just celebrated, and people should know Juneteenth is when they decided down in Houston, was it Houston? Yeah, Houston, to tell the slaves they were finally free 2.5 years after they signed the Emancipation Proclamation. Slipped my mind, son, I forgot to tell you. Yeah, I think they were saying cotton furs, then you can go on and you're free after that last field, the last harvest. But anyhow, understandably, a celebration to commemorate and to remember, right? But it didn't all go so well.
We are just a few days away from Juneteenth. A very disappointing trend has started to pop up. Large companies appropriating the holiday for financial reasons. Now, here's just an example of some of the things that have been done, like Walmart apologizing after it introduced a Juneteenth celebration ice cream. DC's Something in the Water Festival, which is going on right now, by the way, supposed to be a Juneteenth celebration, but as ticket prices so high, most people couldn't even afford it. And then you have Snapchat releasing a filter for Juneteenth that would put chains around a person's face, and the only way to break them was by smiling. That was a real thing, among many others. Now, I want to go even further with this, so I brought in my good friend, Brandon Collins, to discuss. Your reaction to all of this?
I should have saw this coming, a few years ago when Juneteenth really started picking up. When I was doing Drunk Black History, we started doing a Juneteenth show. And I remember not many people still knew about the holiday, so we were educating people a few years prior to this. And now white people have really, really jumped on it. Like, it's like they needed something new, and this is it, especially for like tech companies that are trying to look woke or whatever you want to call it.
Here's my thing. We have commercialized all the holidays. They've commercialized Cinco de Mayo. They've commercialized St. Patrick's Day, obviously, you know, Easter and Christmas and Valentine's Day, even Memorial Day, President's Day sales. We've commercialized everything, right? Now, let's imagine a world where they decide that, you know what, we're not going to co-opt Juneteenth. We're just going to leave Juneteenth alone. Well, now, if you go down that road a couple of years ago, it's like, oh, what's wrong with Juneteenth? You got a sale for every other holiday, but Juneteenth, we get absolutely nothing. We would feel a ways. This is just them treating Juneteenth the way that they've treated everything else.
You got a point, though. I mean, it is so. It is sad. I mean, I get so. Christmas is one of my least favorite holidays.
Yeah.
I love being together with family and the meals and all this, but just the commercialization of it, and you have no idea. I have not seen. They don't talk about the birth of Jesus. Why are you celebrating December 25th? Because that's what they kind of decided, for whatever reason, was the day Jesus was born, right?
Right.
But do you catch that at all during the Christmas season?
Well, Juneteenth is still a thug holiday. It still got it black. You know, it's funny when they set the chains around your face. You got a break when you smile. Then they said,
I mean, Thanksgiving. What the hell? Thanksgiving is supposed to end. It's about a peace treaty between the indigenous Indians at the time and the Pilgrims, right?
Right.
Do you know that? They don't talk about that shit.
I look at Juneteenth like the N-word. You know what I'm saying? Because the old white masters created the N-word, but white people can't use it. But they recreated the word. Now they got the Juneteenth celebration at the beach. They said the ticket's so high that black people can't even go.
Right, and to have an app, what a Snapchat app.
Hold on. Think about it. Jim, it's a black holiday, but only white people at the beach celebrating it because they can only want to afford the tickets. How you can't celebrate your own holiday because you can't afford to? That's a ripoff. I think it's pathetic to commercialize it because I'm like, how you gonna really commercialize the chains on the face? You can't afford the ticket to your own holiday. I'm like,
when they mentioned Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Mayo has nothing to do with Mexico's independence.
No.
And I mean, as they said, it just caught fire. They was able to commercialize it, sell beer.
That's just our human nature. That's just somebody in marketing saying, "Hey, okay, wait a minute. We have a black holiday. Let's get some of those black dollars. We need some black dollars. What can we do? Chains? I don't know. But if you smile, you get the chain off. We can do that.
Colt 45, free paper bag.
Have some Juneteenth paper bags and put your beer in. Black koozie.
Black koozie.
But it got Juneteenth on it. What was that picture at first when they had the sign, the peace sign on it? Man, I'm like, that's so damn ghetto, man. We got a commercialized ghetto, commercialized day. June, that's so ghetto. Our stuff is ghetto. It ain't compared to Christmas and all other holidays. It's ghetto. We got chains in our faces. We can't go to the concerts, and then we got but the black people afros doing this and whatever they're doing.
I don't know what that was about either, man. But even when they try to do the right thing, somebody's gonna fuck it up.
I think it's stupid.
Check it out.
And then actually, it's supposed to be okay.
Welcome back to Midday this Monday. I'm Cleo Green. We are talking about more gun violence in the U.S. over the weekend. Deadly gunfire erupting in Washington, D.C. at a Juneteenth festival and at a gathering in Harlem, New York. All of this happening as a bipartisan group of senators continue working on the final text of the bill on gun reform on Capitol Hill. ABC's Rena Roy has the latest.
Panic erupting in the nation's capital when gunfire broke out at a packed Juneteenth concert and festival.
No, that is straight up gunshots.
Police say the unauthorized event was being shut down after a series of fights and issues with the massive crowd, but around 8:30 in the evening, a gunman began firing. Police say a 15-year-old was killed and 3 others were injured, including a police officer.
With guns involved,
and with our police managing a crowd on site, somebody used a gun and a child is dead.
Other people hurt after being trampled while trying to leave the area. Officials say multiple guns were recovered, but the suspect in the gun used in the shooting nowhere to be found. And in New York City's Harlem neighborhood, 9 people shot at a gathering. The victims' ages range from 41 to 21, a 21-year-old man dying from his gunshot wounds. So far, nobody has been arrested.
The reality is something has to give. The lawmakers, the gun makers, law enforcement, and the community themselves. Everyone has to be accountable, right? And if we all are accountable to ourselves, we can sleep at night.
All of this as a bipartisan group of 20 senators continue their negotiations on gun reform, working to turn a framework of provisions into law.
Those senators are working on drafting a number of proposals, including strengthened background checks, restrictions for convicted abusers, school security, and mental health programs.
Well, I think those are personal within it, the culture incidents. That happened.
I think that one in New York.
It could have been staged.
I would sit there and think that could be some type of localized incident.
Yeah, they could have been. Yeah, even if 4 people shot. When the 4 people shot.
Yeah.
It could have been just a bickerment, and that happens. The one with the Capitol was at DC.
Yeah, in DC. Now, come on, man.
They could have been. They could have been like. Then they said a bunch of fights earlier, but I think that they could have been someone seeing it and just start popping. That could have been set up.
They did not mention whether was the bickering between protest group. Was the bickering what was that about?
Vague. Yeah.
Was the
details very vague.
Was the person who shot the weapon, was he black, white, with the crowd?
Yeah, very vague. So I'm like, well, what's the whole point of reporting it when you're not going to put the person who did it, who was involved? You say, and multiple guns were recovered. What the hell does that mean? I've never seen a mass gathering where multiple guns are recovered when only one person was shot.
Isn't it interesting how they kind of like keep that information? You know, they've got the information, obviously. I mean, there's cameras every freaking place.
Yeah, and then the second one, somebody just out there fighting, acting fool, and they just got shot. First one, that's some bullshit.
I believe that to be true too.
Yeah, first one, that's some bullshit. Because I know one thing I know about when it comes to gatherings of black people, there are disagreements. I don't know how the white community does, or Asian community, or Hispanic community, but I know for a fact that usually there's someone with a gun, and if it's a disagreement, people get shot over disagreements. But it's usually centralized right there. And it was something that was fetching from to happen, not because we're gonna go to another neighborhood or drive, but it could be some little gangster type stuff that happens. But they, like I say, that first one, bro, Tim.
It could be some old family shit, old neighborhood shit.
Well, Martin Luther King, I forgot what march he did. He went to Philly somewhere, and he was doing a peaceful protest, and whoever it was paid some black guys to tear up shit and start knocking windows out of buildings, and the peaceful protest ended up being a big old issue, a big riot type thing. And Martin Luther King said he doesn't do that. That's not what I promote. But it was set up by the other side to tell them to do it, just to make them look bad.
Right? That's what happened down in Dallas downtown.
Yeah, same scenario.
Same scenario is they paid black people to go down there and cause a disturbance at a black protest. You make the black people look bad.
And no matter how it starts, we all know, and it wasn't an organized gathering. See, that's the problem.
They didn't get a permit, and so there you go.
And then everybody shows up, and here you go. One that bad apple spoils a whole bunch, and then bring in somebody and say, "Hey, we need to pay some money, start some shit, make it look bad, so we can just say the black people are savages and monsters." Which in turn, we listened to the pastor. We saw the Senate with the guy run for Senate in LA with the guns. Who's the real monster here? Who are the real monsters?
The people that perpetuate the lie.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, man.
So there's so many. The people that perpetuate the lie.
But at the end of the day, who's the monster last? Who's the last person to do something? Who looked bad last? So it's a game, man. It's a game, but it's an ugly game. And no one wins, Tim.
You know? And anyhow, hey, I'll tell you what. He tripping me out. Let's do a quick asshole. Anyhow, I'll to brief people quickly. Triumph, the insult dog, is got himself into some trouble. And some people may remember him from Conan O'Brien, but anyhow, he was working for. He got a gig with Stephen Colbert, and they got themselves in trouble. Check us out.
This is almost beyond belief, but just before this show aired, we learned that last night, producers for Stephen Colbert's show on CBS committed insurrection at the United States Capitol. Adam Schiff, the congressman from California, who has spent the last year and a half telling you that unauthorized violations of Capitol space are a coup, Adam Schiff illegally gave producers from CBS access to the Capitol. And then the group, which includes the show's senior producer, a director, a comedian, and a writer, remained in the Longworth House office building after hours. And the point of them being there was for them to harass sitting members of Congress. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Lauren Boebert. U.S. Capitol Police say they got a call about a disturbance at about 8:30 p.m. They told us, quote, responding officers observed 7 individuals unescorted and without congressional ID in a 6th-floor hallway. Officers then arrested them and charged them with unlawful entry into the Capitol complex. Now, that's the exact same charge that many January 6th defendants face. We'll just get right to it. It is likely that some members of Stephen Colbert's team will be held in solitary confinement for a year and a half without being charged. Why? Because this is an insurrection. And actually, joking aside, how could they not be held for a year and a half in solitary confinement without being charged? Because the precedent is in place.
Poor Triumph. Here he is doing his thing. Cannot believe he got his ass arrested. Insurrectionist.
So damn stupid.
And
people don't give a rat's ass about the insurrection. They don't care about the Capitol. They think it's all a joke. The guy let them in. How you gonna put
they were there
somebody in
doing a
jail for
legitimate
that?
interview, Larry. The team that was doing the remote 7 of them, whatever the case is, along with Triumph, was in there doing actual interviews, and it was after the interviews is when they were doing these little shots that anybody that puts film together, you always take these same shots, and that's how then you splice it together. That's how you make a production, right?
Right.
And they rolled up on him. So, it was one of the people there had a hissy fit and made the bitch to the right person, and there you go. Just to make an example out of it. How is this any different than, the people that broke in on January 6th? They're in here filming with Triumph and the insult dog, for God's sakes.
Man, they leave them damn people alone. They let them in. They didn't do nothing wrong.
They need to let it go. That's the world we live in, man. That
Double
is the
standards,
world
triple standards.
we freaking live in. And anyhow, let's wrap this show up for tonight. Thank you for tuning in. And hey, man, if we covered something that you didn't like, too bad.
You ain't lying. Send something in, and we'll tell you how we feel.
Yeah, we'll
talk
let you
about
know,
it.
man. We're just presenting it like it is. We don't candy coat shit.
And we've been nice about it. We can really dig into our personal views, but that's not what we really want to do.
You heard?
Totally.
No, not totally. Hey, well, when it comes to some stuff, I'll give you the, like when it comes to, treating people right. But
yeah,
some of the stuff is crazy. Anyhow, hey, Larry, let me get to you here real quick. And let's get to the part everybody freaking loves, and that is Larry's fitness tip of the week.
What's up, man? This is Larry from LRE Fitness. We keep you moving. You can follow me on Facebook at Estelle Junior Larry, or even Facebook also, LRE Fitness Solutions. And you can get me on Instagram at Estelle Junior Larry or LRE. My fitness tip of the week is plain and simple. And it's not even fitness, really. It's about getting rest. Okay, no matter what you do in your daily struggle or grind or whatever you do, you got to get rest. They usually recommend 8 hours for a typical day. But if you're like in the gym working out hard, really pushing it, you should rest more than that to give your body time to recover. And along with the rest, to make sure you drink water and eat the right food. So work hard in the gym, get an adequate amount of rest, eat the right foods, and keep yourself hydrated. That's Larry Estelle's LRE Fitness Solutions. We keep you moving. Fitness tip of the week.
Hey, absolutely. And anyhow, this is Tim telling you, again, look both ways before you cross the street, because there's two-way traffic everywhere. That's what Larry and I are trying to give you. Anyhow, you know what? Yeah, that was a fun show. Appreciate everybody for showing up and tuning in. And until next week, Larry and I are going to get out of here, and we'll holla.